We are reaching now, Max, with the Plant Code podcast. Is reaching its number 50 episode. So today is the 50th episode of the Plant Code podcast.
It's my birthday.
Very nice. Happy birthday.
Yeah, and it's actually 6 years since I moved to Dubai today as well, so it's double birthday.
There you go. Happy double anniversary.
Yeah,
That's
indeed.
very nice. So to celebrate the occasion, that's why we swapped seats, to celebrate the occasion. We have Max on the hot seat today. So he's going to be answering
I feel under pressure actually. Like I'm not used to this position. I'm not as comfortable as I usually am when I get to be in control of everything.
But that's nice. It's good for a change,
Yeah.
like you get to step out of your comfort zone. You get to see, like things from a different perspective,
Definitely.
which is always something very nice to do. So are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, so we're doing this live today, but we're also recording that 50th episode. So in order to get that started, we'll start with the introduction.
Go for it, Bruno. I couldn't hope for a better host for my 50th episode.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you very much. Not like you have a lot of options either. Yeah. So I have I've prepared some flashcards as well with the number 50 in them because this is a special occasion. So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Plant Code podcast.
Wow. I'm flattered to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Bruno.
It is my absolute pleasure. Today I'm here with Max, the creator of the Plant Code podcast. And we're going to do a little bit different today than what we've been doing the last lives. Of course, feel free to throw in your comments, to throw in your participation and talk to us what it is that you've been thinking about lately. But today it's going to be about celebration. It's going to be about celebrating that landmark episode, which is the 50th. For you to have an idea, okay? So there's a few pieces of information about 50. Turning 50 is not easy. Yeah, so you've made a long way to get here. So you started off small, and you started off with an idea, and then you gather everything together, and then you come all the way now to your 50th episode. For you to have an idea what that represents, yeah. So you had 49 episodes so far. Yeah, that was uploaded to the podcast was 2,548 minutes of content. That's a whole 42 hours and 46 minutes of conversation.
So people can listen to my voice for 42 hours straight.
Literally.
Oh, God.
Literally, yeah. For you to have for you to put that into perspective, yeah. Some television shows, Monty Python, it lasted for 45 episodes. So you outlived them already.
That's a win.
Very
I can
nice.
stop now. I can honestly take my retirement beating Monty Python. I'm out. Thank you. Thanks, Bruno. I'm leaving.
Yeah. You've outlived Monty Python, so you have an idea, and you are just 2 episodes away from beating Downton Abbey. So that shows consistency.
Gotta beat Downton Abbey.
Of course. Yeah, you've got 2 more episodes. You've got 2 more guests, and you've outlived that other show. So it's a very, very, very important mark, yeah? And a lot of shows, of course, they have a, like celebration when you reach that stage, when you reach that 50th. And I'm going to tell you what my celebration on this episode is, yeah? Do you remember Friends?
I do.
The TV show Friends. So on the 50th episode of Friends, yeah? The 50th episode was it was named The One Where No One Is Ready. Do you remember that episode?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the episode of Friends, the 50th, was the one where no one is ready, when Ross had a function and he invited everybody to go out, and he was getting very tense because nobody was ready.
I do remember that episode.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
But the thing that struck me the most from that episode that I've remembered to this day, it was the little exchange between Chandler and Joey about clothes, and when Joey decided to wear all of Chandler's clothes. Do you remember he came out of the apartment wearing everything together?
I just want to say Bruno's not wearing my clothes.
I'm wearing his underwear. That's what I was going to say. In order to celebrate the 50th, I'm wearing one of Max's underwear, and I did some squats. So you're welcome.
Thanks for that. Please burn them after this. I do not want that underwear back.
So let's get started with some questions now, yeah?
Okay.
How's it been?
It's been incredible. To take it back to the start, it was just over a year ago. I remember sitting on my balcony in my studio with Eric Grinsval, who was there right at the start with me. Very good friend who's put up with a lot of my crazy ideas, and very few of them have actually come to realization. Mm-hmm. One day I said to him, let's start a podcast. And he was like, okay, sure. But there was ideas before that as well. Mm-hmm. There are 2 people mainly that I owe having the idea of a podcast to. The first one is someone that I have actually talked about a lot in previous episodes, which is Gary Vaynerchuk, because
Okay.
he has a podcast and he puts out daily content, and it was always very inspiring for me. And his suggestion to a lot of people was just start a podcast about something that you're passionate about, something that you love, and see where it takes you.
Mm-hmm.
So that planted a seed in my head. And then the real push was I was fortunate enough to sit down and have dinner with Prince Khaled bin Al Walid,
Very nice.
which was about a year and a half ago. We were talking about a lot of different stuff, and this guy had always been a huge inspiration to me, and I really admired his work. And there was me just sitting and talking and not really doing anything. A lot of talk, but no real actions. So I went home and I was like, what am I actually good at? The list wasn't that long. I was like, I can talk.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. And a lot of what I do is talk. And I like listening to people. I like sharing people's stories. And I believe everyone does have a story.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things combined pushed me to have that idea, drag Eric onto it with me. And that's all where it started.
Okay, so just like I said, like from a little conversation, you stopped planting the seed and then you got it all together. So you went and you just straight away wanted to start something massive. Did you feel like this was something that was going to last for 50 episodes? Did you feel like you were going to do that for a short while? What was the thought in the back of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, when you do anything, you always start with a goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started, I had no idea what I was doing. I knew nothing about social media, nothing about cameras, nothing about microphones. But I set myself goals. I'm going to release an episode every week for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to release 50 episodes in a year, give myself 2 weeks off, and see what happens. I was aiming to get to, let's say, 10,000 followers on Instagram, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Failed miserably at both of those goals. I'm
Okay.
I'm at 199 subscribers on YouTube. So any of you listening or watching, please go to YouTube and subscribe. Make it to 200. So then,
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen. If you haven't done it yet, the plain
Yeah.
code on YouTube.
and
Subscribe.
just under 2,000, I think, on Instagram. But very quickly, I realized that those goals make no sense. You set numbers that have absolutely no sense. It's just numbers. It's not achievable.
Okay.
And I just started enjoying the process of meeting people, talking to people, and that is how I've benefited in so many ways. A lot of people ask me, like, how much money do you make from it? Are you going to monetize it? And all this kind of stuff. But I have no interest in that. I just genuinely get so much from talking to people. I've found love through my podcast. I've had so much laughter. I've made great friends, found a flatmate and a good friend in yourself as well, thanks to the podcast. So
Thank you very much.
it's unlimited how much it's actually brought me.
That's very true. And it was with one idea in mind, which was to spread the idea of veganism. Yeah. So what does it represent to you today? What does veganism represent to you in your life? And has it changed since you started the podcast?
I think it has changed. Originally when I started it, and the first 10 episodes, if anyone actually listened to them, it's mainly information. So Eric and I, we would do research about a particular topic of veganism, say protein or vitamin B12, honey, and we'd do some research and then we'd do an episode based on that. So my aim was to, first of all, improve my own knowledge about veganism, to be able to answer people's questions better when people ask me questions about it. So I did learn a lot from those episodes, but it kind of got a bit repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite intensive doing the research and trying to put out this content weekly where I had to do research. It was like having homework, and I hate homework. I hated school, so why would I inflict homework on myself? So I thought, why not bring in guests? And I travel a lot, and I can meet new people, and that became incredible. So then the idea changed to start sharing inspiring stories.
Mm-hmm.
And originally it was a lot with activists, met some very inspiring activists, and it was mainly related to veganism. And over time, I've kind of brought it to a broader topic range.
Mm-hmm.
To environmentalism, health, day-to-day things, just generally things that can inspire you, meditation, a lot of things I believe people can benefit from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gone from strictly to veganism just to genuinely try to inspire people to do something a bit different or a bit better with their lives, or just put a smile on their faces, really.
Oh, very nice. So you started with an idea that was the veganism altogether, but now you realize that perhaps people have other, like goals in mind, and doing a little to brighten up people's days will make a difference. Yeah. Has anybody reached out to you to say, hey, thanks for what you've done. I followed your advice, or I listened to that one particular episode and it's made a difference?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you start these things, you don't know who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
You put it out there into this black hole of social media, and especially podcasts, it's not really interactive with your audience. And even from the first episodes, I'd have people from all around the world, not hundreds of people, but from various different countries, individuals writing to me from Canada or from, there was someone from Iran who wrote to me in Australia, Asia, people that I didn't know personally, that were like, oh, I'm on my way to work, I'm in the car, just listened to this episode, really enjoyed it, I learned a lot, or I shared this piece of information with a friend, and, you know, it really, that's what keeps you going. It's these little small moments that make you want to continue.
That's very true. That's very true. And from your guests now, yeah, having been a guest myself, you know, like, and knowing how things worked in the background of things, and I knew that sitting there together, we had a very good time. So I want to know from you now. You've spoken to several different people from all over the world, from all walks of life, with all types of different goals, yeah, in what they want to do. So the question is, who was your favorite guest on the podcast, and why is it me?
You're definitely my favorite guest, Bruno, no doubt.
You're welcome.
Absolutely no doubt.
You're welcome.
Honestly, I've thought about this a lot. And I have actually re-listened to most of my episodes over time.
Mm-hmm.
And each episode is very special to me, and each guest was great and unique in their own way. Some were super intense episodes. For example, I did an episode in Switzerland with Sophie Benker about activism especially. And that was a really intense episode. It was one of my first as well. And I still remember it was a really, really interesting conversation. And also I did one with Seb Alex and James in Bali. Seb I've been following for a very long time. And James as well, both great activists. So it was great to meet them.
Yeah.
And also Marissa from Vegucated. She created the documentary Vegucated. I reached out to her completely with no hope of her replying, because I've been admiring her for quite a while, and she was like, yeah, come to my house and we'll record an episode. So it was great to meet her as well.
Nice.
So, and I did a very interesting episode. Pause for dramatic effect.
Yep.
And a sip of tea.
I saw that. Yep. Very nice.
And my most popular episode, by the way, with the head chef of my favorite vegan restaurant, Veganity, with Sky. She was amazing.
I love Veganity, yeah.
Yeah, very inspiring guest. She actually gave me a bit of a hard time at some points during that podcast. Like,
Really?
yeah, she didn't agree with everything I was saying, but it was good banter.
Okay, very nice. So you had a little bit of a heated exchange there.
Yeah.
So how did that work for you? Did you find any guests that perhaps didn't share the same ideas, and you found it difficult to find common ground and find like a happy medium?
Yeah. Not really, and it's something I want to delve into in the future with the podcast, is to get more contradictory point of views, because most of my guests have been vegan. They've had point of views that I've agreed with, that we share things in common. So it's more been of a learning experience between each other. It's never been in a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something I want to bring in the future, is bring people who do have completely different opinions about veganism, people who aren't vegan, that think it's stupid, think that animal rights doesn't matter. I would love to bring people like that onto my podcast, tie a bag around their head and choke them to death. No, or just talk about it, have an actual debate, instead of just having a conversation with people who have the same opinion as me.
And what would be the goal, like bringing these guests, like what would you do, for example, for your followers, like people who are following in you now and they're looking for advice on how to better themselves and to do different things, and they come now with somebody who doesn't share quite the point of view.
Yeah.
So what would you want to do with this kind of guests in your podcast?
I mean, I do believe I'm an open-minded person.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who comes onto my podcast, I will listen to their opinion. I'm not here to tell people what's right, what's wrong. I share my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love for people to share their opinion with me if they don't agree. And that's fine, and we can talk about it. It's not to create a scandal or to fight or to insult each other.
Of course.
It's to confront two different opinions and see what the common grounds are, and if we can work towards the same goal.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Yeah.
Is there someone that you have in mind from that unpopular, different thinking kind of list? Is there somebody that comes to your mind that you can...
I mean, I would love to have, say, to bring on a hunter, for example.
Okay.
Or to bring on a cheesemaker, or someone who has a dairy farm, or someone who actually works in animal exploitation.
That industry, so that you can get you can get to understand what it is.
Or a zookeeper. I would love to have a zookeeper.
Oh wow, yeah, Tiger King.
Tiger King. Oh my god.
Don't.
By the way, if
not,
anyone has not seen that series, that is crazy.
let's not dive into
Yeah,
that.
no, that deserves a whole episode by itself.
Yeah. That would be something differently that we will, something different that we will do. Anyways, speaking of guests, yeah, you mentioned some of the guests that you had. There were some of your favorites, yeah, and I thought, what a better way to conduct, like this episode, other than having the guests ask you questions. So I have some questions from people that you have interviewed before. They've been on the podcast, and I wanted to know what is it that they wanted to know from you.
Oh, no way.
Yes. So let's start with.
You're good at this. You should be a podcast host. You have good ideas.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I try. I can try helping the friends.
Yeah.
So I have a similar question, and that's from Deanna Freeth.
Okay.
Yeah. At @BeTheChange_DXB and Eric Grinsville at Eric Grinsville, and they wanted to know what is the best thing that you have learned by doing the podcast.
It's a good question. Hi to you both. Deanna was a great guest as well. We talked all about environmentalism. If you haven't listened to that episode, I do recommend you do. She's doing amazing work in the UAE for environmentalism and recycling and raising awareness about it. Her commitment is incredible. It's tough. It's a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question?
What was it that you learned?
I'm just kidding.
By the podcast.
If I had to take one thing away, it would be that everyone has a story. Mm-hmm. Literally everyone. I think I kind of made the mistake maybe at the beginning of looking to bring on guests who had the big following on Instagram or who were influential. But I realized that those people aren't necessarily the ones that have the most interesting stories, mm-hmm. or are the best people to talk to, or that people even relate to. And so I found by bringing normal people and not focusing on how many followers they have, all that kind of stuff, you actually find real amazing people out there.
Nice and juicy conversations, yeah. People with something interesting to share, and that's very good to it's very good to hear. It's not about how many people follow you, because how many of these people actually have you influenced, right? So like you mentioned before, a lot of the people that reached out to you, you've made a difference on their day, you've made a difference in their lives and their ideas. And you've mentioned that to me before. If you can get one person to change their ways or to start thinking differently, then you have accomplished your goal. And what a lot of people with not a massive following do is exactly that. Yeah, they make a difference within their circle. Yeah, and if you start small.
But ultimately, I see there's a real impact in people who have, say, a smaller following. They're generally better connected with their audience as well.
Very true. Very true. Because it's something more intimate. Yeah, so they've got a direct contact. They usually know who their followers are, and people tend to trust their opinion way more. So good on you. Good on you for bringing a lot of these interesting people to us. Yeah. But some of them, they do have a massive following, and some of them do have very strong and interesting ideas. And one of them is Seb Alex, right? So, and he has a question for you, and that is @seb.alex. Hello, Seb.
Hi, Seb.
He wants to know, what is it about veganism that really spoke to you?
Seb, you think too much. Why'd you ask difficult questions?
Go for it.
Seb was a great guest as well. I really enjoyed having him on, and he's always been an inspiration to me when it comes to activism. And for me, veganism, it was just about moving away from discrimination as much as possible. And I thought, I can't possibly pet a dog and turn around and eat a chicken. It doesn't make sense. I find it was very hypocritical. And especially if I don't need these things, and I wouldn't kill that animal myself, why would I support these industries to do it?
Mm-hmm. So it just came as a realization when you were a little bit older, or was it something that sparked in you, or did you see something? Did you hear something? What was the tipping point?
Well, actually, this goes back to Eric again.
Yeah.
I'm actually vegan because of Eric. Okay. Eric was vegan before me. We were talking. I would make fun of him. We'd make jokes. And I was like, you know what? I'll try it. Mm-hmm. I'll look into it. It took me time. It took me a good year to kind of watch the documentaries, read the books. And from a health perspective, what really changed it was How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. Mm-hmm. That book was the point where I was like, okay, I can actually do this. I'm not a healthy person. Everyone knows that. I don't really care about my health. But I can survive on this diet and do as least harm as possible to animals, to our environment, and feel good about it.
Yep, very nice. So vegan for the animals, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Very good. So that was Sab's question to you. Very nice. That brings me a question. Like, when was it that you first heard of veganism? Wasn't through Eric for sure. Like, what is your first memory of veganism?
My first memory of veganism was my mum. No, I was in school, primary school, and someone told me that vegans only ate baked beans.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably, that probably stuck in my mind for 15 years. For 15 years, I thought vegans only ate baked beans.
And nothing else. And that was like a thought from school. Did you try and clarify it, or you just took that to be the ultimate
I was
truth?
like, that must be true.
That's interesting.
Someone told me in a playground, it must be true. But I never questioned it. Because unless you look into it, I love baked beans.
Me too.
Unless you look into it, unless you kind of surround yourself with people who understand and who have done their own research, if someone tells you something, why not? You think it's true.
Very true. Very nice. And, like, speaking of first references and first things that you hear, there's one very interesting fact, and back to the coincidences, like me wearing your underwear for the 50th episode. There's something that happened at the 50th Oscars. Yeah, at the 50th Oscars party.
Was there someone wearing my underwear again?
No, because you weren't born then. That was in 1978.
Okay.
Yeah, and by coincidence, it was on the 3rd of April, which was just yesterday. So on the 3rd of April, 1978, at the 50th Oscars, the movie that was crowned winning the best picture was a movie called Annie Hall. Have you heard of it?
I have.
Annie Hall, Diane Keaton, who is known for being a vegetarian, she was crowned the best actress. She won the Oscar for the best actress for playing a role in that particular movie. And one of the famous lines on that movie is from Woody Allen. He goes to a restaurant that's called The Source. That was on Sunset Boulevard. Like back in the 70s, there was this restaurant there that was owned by healthy freaks, as they call them, like hippies.
Uh-huh.
And the phrase was, Woody Allen sits down and he says, "I would like to order the alfalfa sprouts and mashed yeast." So that was one strong reference to veganism, because it was kind of like making fun of it, but not really.
Yeah.
And it became such a movement, and I remember talking about this, and hearing about this movie, and I'm like, okay, so people like that do exist, like for my own experience. And it's so funny to hear you saying baked beans and look at a movie from then, like 1978, and people just like the alfalfa sprouts with the mashed cheese, as it's something like unappealing and not good, and how much has changed since then. Yeah. So what is your favorite food now?
Honestly, it's tough. I love pizza. I've always loved pizza.
Very nice.
Loved burgers, and especially now there are so many amazing vegan pizzas. I would say the cheese on top, the melty cheese, still not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
Still space for improvement in a lot of places. But pizza's all about the crust anyway, so as long as you got good crust.
What is your favorite type of crust? Do you go thin, or do you
I like thin
crust?
Thin
Thin crust.
Yeah, like the Italian wave of thin crust. That for me is the way to go.
Very, very nice. And absolutely, there's tons of places that do, like delivery now. And even the supermarkets, they sell frozen vegan pizza.
Yeah.
We've made so much progress.
It's crazy.
So different from back in the day. And do you feel like doing a podcast is something that helps in this kind of movement, in this kind of change in the industry?
I hope
think
so.
It's less related to food,
so.
It's more to animals. What is it that you think the full podcast will affect the most?
I do hope so. I do believe it is my form of activism, in a way. You've got to focus on what you're good at and try and, bring people in. People have told me they have become vegan because of the podcast, or it's given them information on the guests that they've had then through association, all this kind of stuff. So it has had an impact. But even I see it in the 3 years I've been vegan, how the vegan scene has changed. Mm-hmm. How easy it is to be vegan. For me, like now, there's no reason not to be vegan, because everything that you could have before, or you thought you couldn't find vegan, you can.
Anything can be made vegan, basically, right? And there's so many creative people out there, so many talented chefs who are doing a brilliant job. And speaking of talented chefs, I have some questions here as well from a very well-known and talented chef in the Dubai scene. That's Sky, head chef at Veganity.
Oh,
Yeah, and one of the questions is got to do with what we were just talking about. Sky, head chef from Veganity, wants to know what has been labeled as the creator of the Plant Cool podcast. Did it open any doors for you as in the vegan community?
I'm not gonna lie, it's gotten me a lot of free food.
Okay, very nice.
Because fortunately through this, I've been invited into different restaurants to try the food, try their vegan menus, which I wasn't expecting when I started this. This isn't something that really crossed my mind. But I have been so fortunate to try a lot of different dishes.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to be invited also into Veganity, into Sky's restaurant to try her food before the opening, which I never thought I would be just this random vegan guy invited to try the food in the world's biggest vegan restaurant. You know, that's incredible. Definitely that. And meeting people as well. Like I said, if I didn't have the podcast, I wouldn't have met Marissa, who did the documentary Vegucated, that I love. I wouldn't have met Seb Alex. I wouldn't have met a lot of the other activists that I admire. It's been a great gateway for me to connect with these people as well.
Very, very nice. And the other question that she sent, which is like, if you weren't doing the podcast, well, what else could you do in order to raise awareness? So let's think that what you said before, because you said, like I have no talents or whatever. All I can do is talk. If you had another type of talent that could spark some type of activism, what would it be and why?
I think I would write a rap song about veganism.
Just write a song, or would you want to sing that song? Would you record that song?
I would record that song, and I would record it in Dubai, in the streets in front of the Burj Khalifa, dressed like a broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really good.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Maybe that could happen. That could happen.
That would catch attention. Well, I'm quite good at writing songs, so maybe I can help you out
Yeah.
with that. Yeah. So we're all about making dreams come true.
We could get a Grammy.
We could. Who knows?
Let's do it.
It could be the crowning of something incredible. Very nice. Another question from Sky is, what makes a person stand out in order for you to want to interview them?
That's changed over time. Like I said, originally I was looking, at following and the influence they had. First of all, from obviously a selfish perspective as well, because it would give me exposure, it would grow the podcast. And I thought, well, these people must be doing something interesting, which actually isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it can be anything. I just like people that are a bit outside the box, that are doing something different, and people that I admire. Each of the guests that I have on my podcast, I admire these people, and including yourself, Bruno.
Thank you. Thank you. I got teared up.
Yeah.
Why are they doing it?
And they've all become friends as well. They're genuinely people that I respect, that I admire, and that I wanted to talk to. And for me, the podcasts, I don't like when people call them interviews, because I feel interviews is very one-sided. It's you ask questions, they reply.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel in a podcast, you have a conversation. It's two people having a proper conversation and learning from each other. And that's why I like it, because I learn so much from these people. And I get to talk a lot as well.
Very nice. And we talked about what you've learned. That was very, very interesting. From the other side of it, and that was a question from Nada at One Arab Vegan. Yeah, she has a question for you as well. She wants to know if there's a podcast that you're a fan of that you would love to be a guest on.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Yeah. So when you're now a guest on your own podcast, what other podcasts would you like to be a guest on and why?
Yeah. Well, I was fortunate to be a guest on Rowena's podcast. That was the first time I was a guest.
Yeah.
I'm still uncomfortable with being a guest. But
you seem fine.
Yeah, I definitely feel more comfortable in the chair of the host. But I would say it's a tough one. It kind of goes between two. I love Rich Roll.
Same.
I love his podcast. I've been listening to it for a while.
Yeah, big fan. Haven't talked to you in a while, Rich. I'm sorry. Hope you're well.
Yeah. He sent me a postcard. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I would love to be on his podcast. Well, I'd love to have him on my podcast, because I would love to ask him the questions. And also,
I will send this to him.
Yeah, send it to him.
Maybe you will, maybe.
And Russell Brand.
Okay.
Russell Brand.
That's
his podcast. Whilst it was free, I'd never listened to it when it went onto Luminary, because I don't pay for content, and I don't believe people should pay for content.
Yeah.
I would love to be on his podcast, because I think he's just hilarious. And he's just so out there.
And they're very different people as well, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I've got to say Mike Tyson's podcast as well.
So it's another one. Okay, so
Yeah.
now we have...
Just because Mike Tyson's so funny.
It's Mike Tyson. He can beat that.
Yeah.
That was Charlie, by the way, for you hearing that noise. Is Charlie just...
He's
stretching
shaking
himself.
around, yeah.
He's shaking what his mama gave him. Very nice. So Mike Tyson and Russell Brand. And you talked about him charging. Is this something that you would go and get
Never.
into? If you could raise money for the animals, for a cause, would you charge?
I could, I suppose. That would be one way to do it. Would be a donation that would go towards a good cause. I could do it that way. But I don't know. I just feel like being the millennial that I am,
Yeah.
and being raised in a generation of YouTube, of Instagram, of Facebook, where everything's free, I would feel, I don't know, I would feel like I'm cheating people by asking people for money for my content. I was thinking to monetize it, you know, to bring some extra income. But then it just became too complicated trying to find merchandise that I believed in, that I believe would benefit people, that wouldn't just be cheap rubbish from China. And then I reached the point, I was like, no, this isn't why I'm doing this anyway. I just want to focus on the podcast, on the people that I have, and making it free and accessible to everyone.
Yeah, because you want to get the message across.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that would be the main idea.
Yeah.
I thought as much.
A lot of people have told me, yeah, you should do merchandise, you should monetize it, or put a Patreon for donations or whatever. But I don't know. I get so much from it for free that there's no amount of money that would make any difference.
Be tempting enough for you to...
Well, if there's anyone out there that wants to buy the Plant Code trademark for
whatever reason,
$1 million, message me, I'll consider it.
yeah, just leave it out there just in case somebody wants to contact. Yeah, you can talk to me. I am the salesperson. And I'll make commission off of it. Yeah. Another question from a guest. Yeah, and that is Tom Ellis.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah.
Also an excellent episode. One of the most popular as well. Tom has an incredible story as a kidney donor. If you haven't listened to that, you should do so.
Yeah, and it's on Instagram as well. Everything is listed on there. Very nice. And he wants to know if next time you're in Newcastle, you will come for a session at Inspired by Plant Power.
No way. That's a gym. There's no way I'm going in this gym. Have you seen Tom's workout? I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he is mental. He goes hard at the gym.
I almost left when I read it because I was like, I can probably almost answer that for you, but
yeah,
I wanted to make sure that I passed the question directly to you.
I appreciate Tom's optimism.
Yeah, but I remember, like when you mentioned, like not feeling like the healthiest person or anything like that, has interviewing people such as Tom, like and others, people that you interviewed from the fitness industry, they are so passionate about the cause. Has it not sparked a little bit of change in you?
It's done to me what usually these kind of things do to me. Like, they inspire me for like a week. I did a great episode with Jamana. She's a yoga teacher. She sent me through loads of yoga stuff. I was doing it for like a week. Gave up. Tom, super inspiring, super fit. I was like, yeah, he's like, I don't want to be wrong, but at least 10, 15 years older than me, but he is ripped as hell. I was like, okay, I can be
Kinda
like
like
that.
me.
Kind of like you. Kind of like you. And with Zara as well. Zara's super fit, super sweet.
Yes.
The same, but then it just never... It's not in me, One
Never
day.
took off. One day.
I'll get there.
Like talk about goals. Talk about maybe, you see out there, if you're a fitness influencer, vegan person, meditation, yoga, you can keep on influencing Max. Because the other day we talked about it. We talked about how I was trying to get him to come and exercise with me in the living room, and he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's because you wanted to do naked yoga. That's pushing it.
Well, that's fun. Everybody does it. Everybody does naked yoga nowadays. But anyways, your loss.
True.
You spoke about Zara now, and she also had a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah? Zara at supersweet_. She had a question for you, and the question was, what happened to the veganity cheeseburger challenge?
I'm practicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how far have you gotten?
Well, the challenge was me and Zara. We were supposed to eat as many cheeseburgers as possible in 15 minutes. I did a trial run of that, actually. There is a video of it on Instagram with some friends of mine. I just feel like I need a lot more practice before I challenge Zara, because I think she can crush me at that challenge.
She can put on a fight.
Yeah, and I don't like losing, so...
Yeah. So there you go. There's your answer, Zara. Whether you're going to allow him more time to practice or not is entirely up to you. Yeah.
Well, we'll see when the whole lockdown is over and restaurants are open again. Maybe we can consider.
Very nice. Fingers crossed. Yeah, and invite me. Maybe I can be the judge.
Honestly,
The
I'd
referee.
rather do a cheeseburger challenge with her than a fitness challenge with her. So
She would beat anybody.
Yeah.
So if you don't follow Zara, just go ahead and follow Zara,
Yeah.
and you'll see how fit she is and how incredible she is. Now, with Dubai and the whole community, you said you travel a lot. So what I want to know from you, what are the main differences that you see? Have you got a feel of what is a very good vegan-friendly country, for example?
Australia is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great places. They love everything that is alternative. They're very health conscious as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's taken off there. I was actually quite surprised by China
Mm-hmm.
because there's actually a lot of Buddhist restaurants and they're all vegan anyway.
Very nice.
So that was good. I found everywhere's relatively accessible. Russia was tough.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of vegan places in Russia, and plus the language barrier is a bit of a challenge.
You didn't take my advice of using Google Translate?
There's a very good video on YouTube where Bruno explains to the world how to use Google Translate.
You are welcome, everyone.
I will put a link to that actually.
Watch it now, thank me later. Yeah, what else?
Yeah, I would say definitely Australia tops it
Yeah,
by a long shot.
very.
Dubai
very
scene
good.
is growing quickly.
What about the Dubai scene? What do you think of the vegan scene in Dubai?
In the past few years, there's some good stuff that's opened up. Like we mentioned, Veganity. They've got Gypsy in Dubai Mall. There was Loose Unicorns as well in the marina.
Yeah.
There's Little Earth in JLT.
Yeah. Life and One.
Life and One.
Wild and the Moon.
And a lot of places have vegan menus now
Yeah,
as well.
Vegan options.
So I think, yeah, it's a great place to be vegan in Dubai. And there's a lot of micro businesses as well that do donuts, ice creams, like artisserie, and then there's people who do
Artisserie,
all kinds of
amazing
amazing stuff.
Glacier Privé. There's very nice ice cream as well.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And all this stuff you can have delivered to your home.
What is your take on the Dubai vegan, like on the community? You know, like the
Yeah.
vegans. Do you know many vegans in Dubai?
Well, through the podcast I do, and having attended a few of the events, and also having been fortunate enough to ask to speak at one of the events as well, which was quite a crazy and intimidating event.
Yeah.
But I met a lot of amazing people there.
I was never invited to speak at any event, and I'm offended. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go
Start a podcast, and you will be.
on. I know, right? Instagram won't do, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a great vegan community, and what's great about the vegan community in Dubai is that it's so diverse as well. You have people from all over the world. You have people from India, you have people from the UK, from Brazil, you have people from Northern Europe, you have literally people from all over the world in Dubai.
I'm very bad at geography, so I don't know what Northern Europe is.
Well, I don't know the name of the countries, that's why I said Northern
Okay.
Europe. Makes sense.
Europeans.
Europeans, yeah. So you
Yeah.
got everyone, and obviously you have a selection of vegans, and there are WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't aware any of that existed, but there's a strong presence through social media.
Yeah. So they, like people communicating and people supporting each other, supporting each other's businesses. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that you have tried all of this food, yeah, what is the country that you liked the food the most? Is there any particular traditional dish from a country that was veganized and you tried it and you loved it?
Ethiopian food.
Ethiopian is naturally vegan, right? So
Exactly.
it's- what is it about the Ethiopian food that
I like the fact that it's in the bread, and it's so open.
can't go wrong with bread?
Exactly, I love bread.
Yeah.
And it's all like
Same.
so colorful and whole food. And that's actually healthy.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised I like healthy food. I love Italian food. Like, I
Yeah,
talked
you
about
mentioned
pizza.
before, yeah. I kind of puzzled it out when you said pizza.
I can talk about pizza for a long time.
And bread and pasta and
Yeah.
carbs.
Yeah, literally, I love carbs. And yeah, I mean, a lot of Italian pastas anyway are vegan, so
True.
there's just so much good stuff. And I just like food.
Hard to pick a favorite, eh?
Very hard.
Yeah. So does it differ from before? Before transitioning to veganism, did you always eat the same thing, or you kind of adventurous?
I feel I've discovered more food now.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely made me appreciate food, different flavors. I've discovered more vegetables
Mm-hmm.
that I knew existed. And yeah, before I would try anything. Even when I was eating meat, I would try anything. Like, I
Yeah.
tried guinea pig, I tried shark, kangaroo. Like we talked about this before.
Yeah.
So I'd try anything, but definitely to have an appreciation of my food and where that food comes from.
Yeah.
Before I used to think it was weird, people who planted, I don't know, vegetables in their garden, whatever. But now, like, it's amazing, you know. I
That
genuinely
jealousy
appreciate
level,
that. Yeah.
100. Yeah.
When my
but
mum shows me a picture of her garden and stuff she plants, now I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Whereas before, I'd be like, yeah, who cares?
Yeah. No, it's
Or
the
maybe
best
I'm just
thing.
getting old.
That is one of the symptoms of
Yeah.
getting old. You start developing, like desire to plant things in your house, and you start talking to them.
True.
Next thing you know, you're chatting with, a tomato thing,
Yeah.
tomato plant. How do you call the tomato plants? That
I don't know that much
that's
about
not-
plants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Moving on, yeah. I know we're having a good laugh over here and things, and it gets a lot of fun, and a lot of the conversations you have are also very lighthearted. Is there any funny stories that happened that never made it to the air? What can you remember that made you really laugh during all of those 49 episodes that you've done so far?
I remember. Actually, it was with Zara because we were recording the episode in Miss Tess, and I don't know why we had like this laughing fit for absolutely no reason. I don't know what happened, because I say a lot of awkward things and inappropriate things. I like to say inappropriate things, so I do have to remove some of it. I can't leave everything.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And yeah, there's been some very fun moments. I mean, I've had a lot of hiccups with equipment as well. You learn in the process anyway. I mean, like, I'm not a professional at this, like, I'm learning as I go. I'm still learning today. And, it's just good fun, really.
Very nice. Very nice. On the other end, was there something that you said, why did I ever think of inviting this person? I shouldn't have done that. And I just you didn't want to post that episode, and you're just like, ugh. Was there any bad guest?
All of the episodes that I released, I'm happy to have released them.
Mm-hmm.
The last episode I did, actually, before we started the whole coronavirus lockdown series, was an interesting one for me because it took me completely out of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. It was with Natalie from Modibody, and we were talking about period-proof underwear. And she reached out to me, and when she reached out to me, I was looking at her products, and it's all about periods and pregnancy and bladder control, and it's for women. I was like, it's not usually what I talk about.
Mm-hmm. Really?
No, not often, and it's not something I really know about. But I was like, okay, you know what? Let's do it. It's something different. I'm broadening the spectrum of episodes. I'm trying to learn stuff, and why not? So we had the conversation. I mean, it's a really interesting episode. I learned so much more about what goes on in women's underwear than I wish I hadn't just said what I just said, but I did. Anyway, but because it just seems awkward. Whatever you say, it seems awkward. But it's interesting sometimes to put yourself out of that comfort zone. And there's only...
You're going to say put yourself in women's underwear.
No comment. And there's only one episode that I recorded that I have not released with a guest.
Yeah.
And that was due to foul language. There was way too much swearing. Like, I swear.
Yeah.
Sparingly. It's not constant. There was that. And plus, it just didn't bring out what I wanted in an episode, really. I just felt like I couldn't... It wasn't a message that I was willing to put out there. Maybe now I would go back and release that because it's slightly controversial and we are disagreeing. We do have different opinions. But at that time, I was more about positivity and trying to put out a continuously positive vibe about veganism.
I see. And I get you, because I don't feel like too comfortable around people that sweat too much. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, so it's fucked up.
Yeah, so I would just rather have like a lighter environment around. So I understand where you're coming from.
And plus, we recorded that episode in a restaurant as well. So for me to release that, I mean, there was no one there. Like, we had the place to ourselves.
I get you.
But then just to put that episode and then associate it with that person's restaurant, like, I didn't feel comfortable putting them in that position as well.
Yeah. So good call.
I think so.
Call in there. Yeah. So moving on, what is the one goal that you have now that you've got to that landmark? You've done 50. So what should we expect for the next 50?
If we're sitting here in a year and I've released 100, I would be surprised, because it has slowed down recently because there's a lot been going on in my personal life, and I've been trying to figure some stuff out, and I was looking for a new direction as well with it a little bit. I don't know, because for me, I've already won. Mm-hmm. I set the initial goals, 10,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers, whatever.
Numbers,
But for me, I've already won. I've met so many incredible people. This has literally changed my life within the past year. Mm-hmm. So I can't really hope for anything more than for it to continue the way it is.
Yeah. just keep on bringing interesting people, and keep doing the conversation and keep making a difference on people's lives. Yeah, very, very nice.
I mean, I think we'll see some a lot more diverse things on the podcast in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to bring in some comedians. I'd love to bring in people. It's not necessarily related to veganism. That doesn't mean that my focus has gone away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to draw people in to consume my content and then go back on the other episodes as well.
Yeah.
So then, just try and get a wider crowd, because sometimes I feel like I am preaching to the choir and only talking to vegans.
Yeah, so now you want to reach out to a wider public, like to just get some different perspectives, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching, we are now having the pleasure of hearing some insight and asking all of the questions and all of the juicy things that you wanted to know from our beloved host, Max. So for you watching now, is there anything that hasn't been covered that you'd like to ask? Now is your turn. Is now the time for you to send those final questions for us to wrap up that what's been a very, very nice conversation.
Yeah, it has been. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Did you? Because I had a really good time.
Yeah.
I feel like just sitting with you now, I got to know yourself a little bit better, even though we've spoken several times before. I've asked some questions that I hadn't asked before, and maybe I should have.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's why I do enjoy it, is because I don't actually talk that much about myself in general, and those people that know me know I'm quite secretive. I'm not secretive. I'm not hiding anything from anyone, but I like to listen. I like other people's stories. I find other people interesting. I don't enjoy just talking about my life all the time.
Yeah.
Because there's something that always stuck with me, and I repeat this quite a lot. It is, when you talk, you only repeat what you already know. But when you listen, you might actually learn something.
Very true.
And those are words that I do stand by, and that on a daily basis, I try to listen more than I talk.
There's a reason we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yeah?
Oh,
So,
well said.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say a word, and then you tell me what is the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Ready?
Do it.
Okay, let's do this. A drink,
Whiskey.
food,
Pizza.
place.
Dubai. Because that's where we've been stuck for the past 3 weeks. This is the longest I've been in one place since this whole lockdown thing has gone.
Very nice. Well, it's the first that comes to mind. That's what.
It's home.
That's what.
And I've been here 6 years today, like I said. So.
Very true. A restaurant.
Veganity.
Okay. Very nice. I agree. Very, very, very good food there. A singer.
A singer. Bruno Mars.
A song.
Locked Out of Heaven.
A movie.
Pulp Fiction.
A book.
A book. Ooh. That tells you how long it's been since I actually read a book.
That's fine.
It'd have to be my Arabic language learning book, 'cause I'm learning Arabic at the moment. So.
That's fine. Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah. Favorite Backstreet Boy.
I don't know any of their names, and I'm very proud of it.
Thank you very much. That was just for me, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
Money.
0.
The future.
Optimistic.
One regret.
Not having started this podcast sooner.
What makes you happy?
Having the people that I love around me.
And how handsome is Bruno?
Amazingly handsome.
Thank you very much. That was all I wanted to hear.
That was all just a big lead up to that.
The whole moment was just building up to it. Now we know how you really feel. So
exactly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Max, all that's left for me to say is happy 50th.
Thank you. I couldn't have wished to share it with a better host.
Very, very kind words. Yeah, and I'm very happy that I was part of this. I was a part of this, and for the past, few episodes, for the past lives, and 50, like I said, there's no small feat. Yeah, it's a very big, very big number. It's a very large amount of hours that were spent. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears put towards something that you believed in, and that is something to be proud of. Yeah, something that I can admire. Yeah, and something that I can actually look up to. Like when you have an idea and you have something in mind that you want to spread and push forward to other people, then there's nothing that can stop you, and you're doing that really well. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I am proud of what I have achieved with this, and I'm not saying that to show off, but I am proud that I've had a positive impact on people's lives, that I've met such incredible people, and that I'm just having such a good time, and I can do whatever the fuck I want, and people seem to enjoy listening. So thank you for everyone that has listened to the episodes in the past, that are going to listen in the future. If there's any topics in the future that you would like me to cover, if there's anything you would like me not to cover, if you'd like me to stop, it's not going to happen, because this is way too much fun for me to stop doing.
Well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Message is given. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. It's been a very, very, very good chat, a very good conversation. I hope you, sitting on the other side, have enjoyed this as much as I have.
Weird for me to actually be the one doing all the talking and talking about everything that has gone on for the past year with the Plant Code podcasts. I hope you guys enjoy it. Once again, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so that I can get to 200 followers or whatever.
That was no joke.
Have a great day, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
That's the year that they're saying's our last, unless we make a change now and we gotta be fast. But first we gotta make a shift in what we put in our mouths. These silly billies thinking vegans eating grass on the ground. We talking fast food, yo, it's burgers and fries. And it used to hurt the earth and the birds in the sky, but now they making it with plants and it's so much better, cause the animals are safe, no more changes in the weather. We better act fast, cause the ice barely freezing. The world's changing quick, so welcome to Planet Vegan. Woo! Damn, man, can you feel that? This place is getting hot. If we want to save the world, it'll take some work. If you want to make it better, then take off your shirt, wave it round your head, and jump into the streets. The revolution starts now. Can you feel its heartbeat? If we want to save the world, man, we better be quick, cause we're killing all the piggies and the cows and the chicks. And I gotta be honest, I ain't a fan of our fate, but we can make a change now and it starts on our plates. All around the world, it's a brand new dance. What you're making out of bodies, yeah, we're making out of plants. We gotta save the pigs and the fishes in the sea, so hold on to your pants, Planet Vegan soon to be. There's a change up in the system, I can feel it in the air, but it benefits us all, there's no need to be scared. We're gonna change the world and we'll do it in a day, so don't fight the future, Planet Vegan's here to stay. If we wanna save the world, it'll take some work. If you wanna make it better, then take off your shirt, wave it round your head, and jump into the streets. The revolution starts now. Can you feel its heartbeat? If we wanna save the world, man, we better be quick, cause we're killing all the piggies and the cows and the chicks. And I gotta be honest, I ain't a fan of our fate, but we can make a change now and it starts on our plates.
Massive forest fires have once again decimated the Californian coastline.
Iceland just held a funeral for the first glacier ever lost in the country's history due to warming weather patterns.
Europe was just hit with the hottest temperatures in recorded history.
Thousands of people are already dying every year from climate change-related issues, and this number is expected to rise exponentially over the coming decades.
Okay, this apocalyptic nightmare's about to be real. Forest fires, oceans flooding, let it fill you with fear. A billion refugees running across the borders in pain, and they're drowning while you're saying you're refusing to change. Slaughterhouses filled with bodies and they're letting out screams, but you're saying it's a lie, that it's only a dream. Let me tell you something, man, the nightmare is real, and you're paying for it daily with your supersized meal.